welcome to a Homespun house. I'm Molly, and thank you so much for spending a little bit of your time with me today. There is a huge question on everybody's mind, and that's something that so many people have been wondering and trying to manage, and that is time. So where do we all find time to knit, time to work on crafts, time to get anything done? A lot of people are either stay-at-home moms or they're working a full-time job. So how do you balance that with knitting? That's definitely something that once I started working, I've only been working at my new job for a month and a half now, and those first 2 weeks I was really struggling as to how I'm going to fit in my love for craft in my daily life while I'm working. I get up in the morning, I go to work, I come home, I pick up Epiode, I then play with Epiode, put her to bed if Robert's not home, and then if Robert's home we obviously spend time together. So that makes it quite difficult to get in any creative time. But there are moments that I am able to fit it in, thank God, because otherwise I think I would go crazy. Because that's who I am. It's what I breathe. It's what I need to do. It's how I release. It's as we've talked about before, it's so meditative. It's just what calms me and relaxes me and makes me very happy. So there are moments in my day, I know not everyone works in a school and has time like something such as nap time or quiet time where they can sit and knit. But I have about 30 minutes in my day while I'm working that I am able to sit and knit if I choose. So usually for that sort of a time, I take something that does not require a pattern at all. I will normally have a pair of socks, a shawl, anything, like I said, that doesn't need a pattern, just anything that's sort of mindless knitting, and then I can immediately take it out, get in those full 30 minutes of knitting. And this is, I do this during work when the children have nap time, and at this time, they're actually listening to an audiobook. So they're kind of laying down and closing their eyes and relaxing and listening to some nice stories. Lately we've been listening to Aladdin and the King of Thieves. So they're really enjoying that, and it's fun to kind of listen to while I'm knitting. So, and the children really love watching me when I'm knitting. Usually right before they lay down, they'll say, "What is that? What are you doing? What are you knitting?" They ask me every time. Granted, I'm not able to knit every single day because sometimes there is classwork that I need to do or that I need to work on, preparing little art projects for the kids. But I would say I'm able to knit 1 or 2 days of the week that I'm at work. So I get in a good half an hour each week worth of knitting, which is something. It's definitely something extra. So that's one little time that I'm able to get my knitting in. One big time, I actually wake up about 2 hours before I have to leave for work. And this is quite early, but I do this because it really is the only quiet time that I can have for myself. So in this time I will either knit, spin, or write a little bit. I've been journaling a lot lately. I stopped doing it for quite a while. I was really into it when I was a teenager, I would say. I had so many different journals. I was very journal obsessed, and I don't think I ever completed a journal. There's one journal that I had that, oh my god, is so thick, stuffed with papers and things. I just think journaling is really special, and it's kind of like my grandma where she writes letters all the time. And so anyway, I will either journal, knit, spin, one of those 3 things generally, and sip on my coffee or tea, and just spend some nice quiet time relaxing. And it's nice because it's been quite sunny in the morning, and so I'm able to enjoy the sun slowly coming up while I sit, because half of the windows on my living room wall, well, one whole wall, is full from top to bottom with windows and out onto the balcony. And so it's really nice in the mornings to sit inside and be cozy and warm and either knit or spin or journal, like I said, and look out the window. But obviously while I'm journaling, I can't look out the window. I'm not watching any TV at that time, like I've mentioned. It's actually usually silent. Yeah, just enjoying being awakened by myself. Maybe I've been listening to some classical German Volkslieder. I really, really like that. Some old folk music from the early 1800s, and that's really nice. I've really been enjoying that. Robert's mom bought us a really nice old German folks music CD when she was on holiday, I think last November, and it's really lovely. I'm enjoying it. So that's another way in the morning, getting up early for work. That also means that I am pretty exhausted at the end of the day, whereas before I started working, I was awake until deep ends of the night. I would stay awake until generally 1:30, 2 a.m. almost every night. And that's when I would knit. I would spend my late hours of the night knitting. I think when you're a stay-at-home mom, you need that because you're spending a lot of time with your children, and you really need that. You kind of crave that alone time to yourself. So even though sometimes I was exhausted, I still made myself stay up. And when I stay up into the late hours of night, I get this crazy energy boost, and I don't even realize that I'm tired until I lay my head down and I think, oh my goodness, I can fall asleep in 2 seconds. Yeah, so that's how I did it when I was a stay-at-home mom. Now I get up earlier and definitely go to bed earlier as well, which is okay because Robert seems to be quite tired too. And it's funny how his sleeping schedule changed as well because he would stay up late with me. So yeah, so what else do I do? So I come home from work, I'm playing with Elodie, I'm doing things with her, and then usually when Robert's home, he generally puts her to bed. So, and that's maybe, now it's maybe 4 nights a week, which is nice. So that's when I am also doing my spinning or knitting. And it's just all of those little teeny times. Also on the train, I've been taking my bike to work now though, and oh my goodness, it's a bit of a bike ride. I think it's about maybe 35 minutes driving on my bike, and the whole way home is uphill. It is quite brutal. Let's just say I'm still having a hard time with it. Most of the ride there is pretty relaxing. This morning, for example, I wrote when I was riding my bike to work, I thought this is nice. I can see how when my body stops hurting and aching, that this bike ride will be beautiful, relaxing, and wonderful. Last summer I rode my bike quite often, but not every single day for an hour and a half total worth of driving. So it's pretty exhausting, I won't lie, but I'm looking forward to really being able to enjoy it. But it is taking away a little bit of my knitting time on the train. And like I said before, I had been doing some of my crochet on the train because those squares that I am making go quite quickly. I can make one almost on one journey, so kind of 2 a day. And but I mean, my body is also important. I want to take care of it. So the bike ride there and back is good and relaxing and somewhat meditative also. So yeah, most of my knitting time is happening in the morning before I go to work, a short time during work, and then while Elodie is going to sleep. But tonight, there is a big soccer game on, and Robert is going to watch it, and then, for example, I will sit next to him and cheer on whatever team he wants to win. And I'll knit. So I usually don't knit when Robert is home or around, or when we're doing something together, because we really like to do things together. But in this case, I mean, if he's watching soccer and I'm not all that interested in soccer, sure, I'll watch it, and sure, I think it's fine. I'm not bored by it or anything, but then I don't feel guilty knitting. So, and the knitting doesn't bother him either. I'm sure I could knit, but I know there are other people who have problems of, like, for me, oh my goodness, I can remember this one time. Some people have problems with how do you then go about, if you're going on a long stretch of knitting, say 2 hours, how do you then go about taking pauses and things like that? I'm a really bad example of that, because I generally don't take pauses in between my knitting. I can knit and knit and knit and knit and knit, and my hands don't really get tired, and I don't really have pain. I can remember, I think it was 2 years ago or a year ago. Yeah, sometime Christmas 2000, must have been 2012. Yeah, so a little over a year ago. I was knitting so much, and just a crazy amount, and this was the first time that I actually really started to get pain in my hand, and I was very scared. Actually, I was nervous that I pulled a muscle or something, and I was not able to knit, I think, for a week, and that was insane. Because I had been knitting so much, my mind was just thinking about it all the time. It was really a very crazy obsession. I mean, still I think about knitting and all fiber related and craft arts quite often. But my mind was totally consumed by it. And so this week where I wasn't able to knit, I kind of went a little bit crazy. I just remember it really was such a shame that I wasn't able to knit, and I was so irritated and mad with myself. So now, the only relief sort of that I get when my hands and fingers are hurting from knitting is a hand massage from Robert, a quick hand massage. It's not like a really long one or anything, but he'll definitely sit down and massage my hand for 5-10 minutes if they're really hurting. Which is nice. I don't ask that too often, but the times when I really need it, it's nice. So that's how I go about making time for knitting and craft and myself, and pain with knitting. And I think it's something that I maybe need to think about a little bit more, because I mean, I am quite young, and I have been knitting for a very long time. So I know that I need to take care of my hands and my arms and all of those muscles, because I want to use them. I want to be knitting for a long time and never lose the ability to use the skill of my fingers and arms and knitting, and I don't want pain to be in there. I know arthritis runs in our family. My grandma has arthritis. Thank God, not in her hands. So I hope that's something that never happens to me. But yeah. We are still 1 day short of finishing up our fingering weight knit along. I am so impressed, so proud, so inspired by so many of the projects that you guys have been knitting and creating and finishing. So many of them are so lovely, and for those of you who are doing fingering weight sweaters, I applaud you. I have a fingering weight sweater that has been in progress, the Grace Cardigan by Jane Richmond, and I just haven't touched it for quite a while. I really would love to finish it, especially now that spring is coming along. Here in Berlin, it's basically spring. It's 12 degrees, so about 60 or so Fahrenheit. And we've even had some days where it was 18, and that was just unbelievably crazy and wonderful. This past weekend was so amazing. We spent it at my husband's parents' house. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, I'm sure you saw a couple of pictures of the trip. It was wonderful. It's always such a treat to go there. But anyway, so back onto the knit along. Tomorrow it closes, and we are way over 75 entries. The extra prize was the teacup and the saucer and the special chocolates from the chocolatier where my husband was born. And then the other two are 2 skeins. I can grab those for you quick. 2 skeins of yarn. This one is Spin Monkeys in the sock yarn. I really loved my Spin Monkeys yarn that I knit up into socks, and I'm excited to gift those to who I will be giving them to, but that's going to have to wait. Those won't be gifted for quite a while. And then this is my Decadently Divine, the yarn that will be given away. I haven't knit yet with this yarn, but it feels very lovely. I have 2 skeins of it, which I've shown before, and I'm excited to use them at some point. I don't have any plans for them yet, but I know inspiration will hit me when it does. Obviously, next week the winners for those prizes will be announced. I would have loved to have been able to announce them today, but obviously it closes tomorrow on Friday, so that will have to wait until next week. So keep getting your entries in. You have until tomorrow at midnight, whatever time, your time. And yeah, the thread will be closed Saturday morning, basically. I'm not super picky. When it's closed, it's closed. It will definitely be sometime a couple minutes or hours after the 15th, just to make sure those of you can get your entries in. And then we also have 2 giveaways. The 2, I have some crazy, see, don't you guys like love my show notes? This is Elodie's crazy scribbling. I gave her a pen, and I just told her to scribble whatever her heart desired, and she scribbled on the back of my show notes. So the winner of the Nature's Luxury pattern is Siberian Cat, also known, her real name is Penny. And then the winner of the Head to Toe ebook giveaway is EENAE, or Nina. So congratulations, you two. Your patterns should be sent off to you very soon, sometime this week. You should be getting an email from the pattern writers. So yeah, congratulations. I have some works in progress, obviously, I hope. And here is what I have on my needles. Last week I kind of talked about my ebook and that I am creating patterns right now. I'm really in the process of working on my patterns for the ebook. And I got quite a bit of messages, and a couple people wrote on the forum, please do not show your patterns. They're yours. Don't risk it. And I really listened to what you guys were saying, and it made me think even more, because like I said, Jenna from Retro Lemon Studio also said that she doesn't like to show hers just for reasons like that. And so I don't think I will, which is really, I feel like it's such a pity, because I can't share that with you, like the process of it. I mean, sure, I can talk about it, but it would be fun to show you each pattern as it's brewing up, and each thing that I'm trying, and each idea that I have. I'm a little bit sad that I can't share that with you, but I think it's for the better. But I finished one of my mittens and I am over the moon happy with it. Isn't this terrible? See, this is so terrible. Here I am telling you that I finished these, I'm happy with them, and I cannot even share my baby, my pattern with you. But I really love it. So this is the yarn that I'm using. It is Linné yarn in the coral colorway. And my favorite base of hers is actually the sparkly base. It's very different than her normal base, which I love as well. I love all of her bases. But this sparkly base is the one that I've talked about before that has, it feels like there's lotion infused. It's, oh my goodness. It feels like cashmere, basically. It feels like it is 100% cashmere. And the normal base doesn't have that. Why? I'm not sure. It's also very, very soft, her normal base, but there's something about the sparkle base that is just unbelievably soft. So my first mitten is finished, and I have the second one, a centimeter. I just have it cast on, and a little bit of it is knit. So, hey, oh my God, I'm so happy I put these in here. Okay, I put these in here in my bag last week, and I only put them in the bag because I wanted to remember to show them to you, but I somehow missed them in the bag and forgot to show them last week. So my grandma sends me letters and random packages every once in a while, and she gave me these. There are two of them. They're crocheted, and her mom made them, my Grandma Ruby. She didn't know what they are, and I don't know what they are. So here it is. It's like a V shape, and then there's just this little dip in the middle. Now what in the world? I would love to know if any of you guys know what you use this for. Please tell me. I thought about maybe something for the sofa, like you put it over the back or the arm, but they're way too small. It wouldn't make sense for that. So please let me know if you have an idea or if you actually know what this is. I have a couple of other things that she's made that I wish I had with me right now. I'm not going to get up and get them, but maybe I'll bring them next time. That she's made that I and my grandma are not sure what they are. So there is that. The next thing that I'm working on is with the leftovers from my Patons Croix in the rag colorway, I think. And I'm making Elodie a pair of leg warmers with these, because I think this yarn is so cool. I think it's such a neat yarn, and I really am enjoying knitting with it, and I love the way that it looks. So I think these will be quite cute leg warmers. And I think I'll make each one this long, so from here to where my finger is, and I think that will be good. And these are knitting along quite fast. Something about this yarn, I'm not sure if I mentioned this before though, it knits so fast. I don't know if it's like some sort of mind game that it plays with you or what, but this yarn just knits itself up, and I love that. Maybe I'll knit on these while Robert watches soccer, and maybe they'll magically be finished by the time the soccer game is over. We shall see. So that is that project. The next one that I'm working on is, actually, I haven't worked on this at all. I don't even know why this is here, is my bunny loves. So I'm still at the same place. I don't even really need to show this to you. I'm so sad I haven't worked on this. There's so much that it doesn't even really need anything more to it. Just the feet, the eyes, and the tail. That's it. I could also work on that and finish it during the soccer game. And the final thing that I am working on is the last thing that I can't show you. And that is my shawl. I'm knitting it out of the Cyborg Craft Room. Whoops. I'm knitting it out of the Space Oddity colorway. And this colorway is so neat. I really love it. When I saw it in the skein, I thought that it was really pretty, but now that I've wound it up, and mostly now that I've knit with it, I'm over the moon, head over heels with it. It's so fun to knit with. I mentioned this before, I'm still so curious how she dyes her yarn. I would love to dabble into yarn dyeing. That's kind of the next excursion that I would like to take. I would love to have hand-dyed yarns and fiber in my shop along with bags. I know it's kind of a strange combination, but that's the next thing that I would really like to have up in my Etsy shop. And I'm still just doing custom orders on a side note. So I'm really curious how she dyes her fiber. Obviously she can't give me her secrets, but I'll have to experiment a bit with that, because I really love it. And I've just finished the stockinette part, and I've decided what I will be doing for the next, the exciting part of the shawl, basically. The thing that gives it its dazzle and its excitement. So I've decided that, and I've just started the first row of that after I finished the stockinette stitch, so that's exciting. I don't have any finished objects this week, which is okay because I've made a lot of progress on everything basically. The leg warmers, I almost have one finished. The mittens, I have one finished, the second one cast on. And the shawl is over halfway done, so I'm very excited about that. I didn't start any socks again, which is really crazy, but I've received some new yarn, or I purchased some new yarn, and I think that these will be cast on into socks. I'm not going to talk about that now though. I'm going to talk about my spinning. So I finished plying my yarn. It is so soft, it is so wonderful. Alright, let's see. I think I underplied it, I didn't underply it, it's fine, but I think that I would like to ply it even a little bit more. So here it is. It's turned out wonderfully. And I really love it. I have no idea what I'm going to knit with it, but it's so soft. I'm having so much fun spinning up yarn. I've never ever knit anything with hand spun yarn, and I have no plans for this. I have no plans for any of my hand spun yarn, which is a big pity because I know that it would be really wonderful and fun to... Yeah, I see one little piece that is a bit underplied right here. But I know that it will be really fun to knit with when I do indeed knit with it. What do you think? What would you knit with this crazy, fluffy... oh my god, I forgot the word again. Cotton candy yarn. What would you make with this? Because I really have no idea. I don't think it would look good for a shawl. Next to my skin anyway. I think it would need like darker skin or brown or black hair. But I'm not sure. I think I will just hang it. I think I will reply it because I'm not exactly happy with the ply of it. I think it needs to be plied a little bit more, more tightly. So I will set that back here. And now I have been working on these by the same company, Nicole C. Mendez. These are my Rolags. Aren't they humongous? This one, granted, has been stretched out a little bit, but this one is, I call it like my spearmint, minty sort of colorway. And I have this one on the wheel. It's currently on the wheel. And I hope to have it finished soon. I usually say next week or so on and so forth, but today I'm going to say soon. Definitely will not be plied next week, that I know for sure. But I would be happy if I had 2 ounces of these spun up next week. That would be wonderful. I watched one of the Newer Knittables podcasts, and she talked about White Birch Fiber Arts, their yarn. And I really fell in love with the yarn that she had. I thought that it was so beautiful. Almost all of her yarn is self-striping, and I love it. So I decided that I needed a skein of this yarn, and I'm so excited to have received it. I received it today, which was perfect. And I love it. I thought that it looked really pretty in the picture. As always, I feel like this is always how it is with yarn. I think that it's really nice in the picture. I'm so happy that I've never had an experience where I get it and it's not as nice as it looks, or it's not, the colors are totally different than in the picture. And these colors are a little bit different than in the picture, to be honest, but I like them even more in person. So it has this spearmint green, this corally orange color, which is strange because I normally don't like orange at all. I'm not a fan of any sort of orange. I don't even know if I own anything orange, even in my house for decoration or anything. But I really love this. It's really beautiful yarn, and I'm excited to knit a pair of socks out of these. So maybe these will be the next socks that I cast on. And these are super luxurious yarn. I've never knit a pair of socks with cashmere in it. So I think that will be really fun. It's 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon. So this will be really fun to knit with. And maybe I'll, the third thing, I'm sure I'm going to have a lot of things to knit while Robert is watching his soccer game. But I think now that I have this in my hands and now that I'm looking at this, I will, I think now that I have this in my hands and now that I'm touching it and feeling it and really loving it, I think I will have to cast this on. Robert, stop it. You're making it too hard. I'm almost done. I think that I will have to cast these on. I need a pair of socks on my needles because I'm just not Molly without them. So yeah, I think these will go on my needles. We will see. I'm always making promises, but we'll see. So maybe these ones will go on my needles next. Look at this, looks like some sort of like animal or something. Here's the little body and here's the head. It's like a balloon animal. So White Birch Fiber Arts. Friends don't let friends craft with insipid yarn. That's cute. And this is the colorway Refractory. So cool. I definitely recommend this. Her prices are very generous for the fiber contents. I'm excited about this. I'm excited about knitting this. When I was in Brena, where Robert's parents live, I went to the yarn place there, the yarn shop there, where I said that they have yarn at just really lovely prices. They have sock yarn for wonderful prices. I bought this Regia Vier Fertig color, and I got it in the colorway is 09386, and I fell so in love with this yarn. Here is what it looks like. It is just beautiful. It's so colorful and so neat. It reminds me of the grandma socks that I knit a while ago, with the yarn that she's always knitting her socks with. For those of you who are newer viewers, I'm sad to say that I actually don't think that you've seen that episode, or I don't think that you've seen me talking about this yarn. But it's also a Regia yarn, and it's just some yarn that she knit quite a bit of socks with, and she gave me a skein of this yarn, and it's just that classic Regia yarn that has the self-striping, and then it has a row or a couple of rows of the Fair Isle. Even though it's all one yarn, it's just that patterned Regia yarn. And so when I saw this in these crazy colors, I thought I have to have that, and I have to knit a pair of socks out of it because it's way too pretty. It's just so nice that I really want to have fun and knit a pair of socks out of it. So I feel like I need more sock yarn in my stash, actually, to be honest. I honestly don't have that much. I have a lot of odds and ends of sock yarn, and I have a lot of solo 50 gram balls of sock yarn, but I don't have really enough to make one pair of socks. I have a couple of pairs, a couple of skeins of yarn, obviously, but I like to have a lot of yarn in my stash. I like to have a lot of DK weight, sported, worsted, and sock weight yarns, because then you have the option. I mean, it's not like every time you want to knit you say, hey, how about I run to the yarn store? I really like to have a pretty good stash of yarns at home. That would be something fun to kind of discuss a bit. Maybe in a future episode we can talk about how I manage my stash, or even show a little bit of my stash. I would love to see your stash, or some of, maybe even a bin of your most used yarn, or how you organize your stash. How fun would that be? Because I definitely have a way that I organize my stash. I don't have a very big stash at all, but I have a stash. I definitely have a stash. I definitely have a good choice of yarn that I can pick from, but maybe because I just compare my stash to my grandma's that I think I don't have a big stash, because she has a massive stash. So this is the Regia yarn. I like it. And then the other two yarns are also very lovely. They are from Color Adventures. And the first one is right here. This is called Green Spice, and it's in the Dia Merino sock base. It is 100% superwash merino, and there's 3.5 ounces and 463 yards, 423 meters. And this yarn is gorgeous. It is so beyond gorgeous. There are purples and midnight blues and greens, brown, plum. I have no idea what this is going to be, but I fell head over heels in love with it, and I don't know. Usually when I see sock weight yarn in this sort of these sort of colorways, and especially if there's no nylon, I have a hard time thinking about putting it into socks. I always think shawl. That's what I usually think when I see it. So that is that yarn. And then the other one is the Forest colorway in the Girly Fun DK base. It is 75% merino, 20% silk, and 5% stellalina. So again, it's 100 grams, 3.5 ounces, 231 yards, 211 meters. So that's really beautiful as well. I've never knit DK weight yarn in a sparkle base. So I think it'll be fun. I have no idea. I have no plans for any of this yarn. Even this sock yarn, even this one, I have no straight set plans. Like I said, I think I will maybe cast this one on this evening, but I'm not sure. Who knows? Maybe when the soccer game starts, I will cast on this one. I don't think so. I think I probably will cast this one on because this one is definitely calling my name. And I'm kind of falling in love with this self-striping sock yarn. Like I said, the Patons Croix was the first self-striping yarn I've ever knit with. This is the first indie dyer sort of luxurious yarn I've ever knit with. So I'm very intrigued, very excited to try this one out. I think it will be a lot of fun. I have received 2 wonderful letters this week. And both of them already have something coming back to them. And the first one is from Grace, Juniper Grace. She sent me this gorgeous card. It says, "Arts and crafts keep you sane." So this is how it looks. And I'm going to read all of these cards to you. No, I'm not. Not at all. It would take too much time. Because these girls wrote a lot, which is wonderful. That's exactly what I hope for. And Grace, I sent you something a little while ago, so I hope that you get it soon. And then she sent me these adorably cute stickers right here. So that was a fun little envelope to get. And then on the outside she wrote, "Thank you, International Post," which is cute. And Grace has a podcast, which you guys should check out. Just Juniper Grace, that's what it's called. Then the next one that I got was from my good friend, Helga. She's a podcast listener. That's how I became friends with her. We're pen pals, kind of. Well, we are pen pals. And you as well have a package coming to you. Because Helga had a birthday, which she forgot to tell me about. Helga's the one who sent me the teacup and the yarn and the bag and the teas and all of that fun stuff. So Helga sent me a letter. This is the cute outside. And she wrote me a really wonderful note. As did Grace, of course. And then she sent me some tea, passion tea, which is so lovely, Helga, because do you know what? I have had the passion tea before, and this is my second favorite. My first favorite is calm, and my second favorite is the passion tea. And this I love in the summer to drink cold, actually. So I will save this. I'm not going to open this. I'm going to save these 2 things of tea for a cooler day. And today was pretty warm, and after my bike ride, I 100% could have had these, but I received them after. I received this letter today. So that was such a nice surprise, and I love getting mail. I love getting mail and I love sending mail. So I have both of these letters in my kitchen for me to look at because they're special and they're fun, and I love that we're connecting with each other. You, the viewers, and me, the person who is sharing my life and knitting journey with you. I'm really enjoying that. I wanted to share something special with you today, connected to my grandmother Ruby. So my grandmother Ruby, as you know, was into everything. She did any sort of craft work, and I don't even know when this was. Sometime last year, my mom and dad sent me a package, and in the package was this. And I'm not going to open it because it is quite large, but it is so beautiful. It's a tablecloth, and I actually have had it on our table because I just put it out last week because spring is coming, and the weather here in Berlin is so, like I said, it's so warm, it's so sunny. Today I wore a spring jacket outside. I had on obviously this shirt, this black cardigan, and then I had on a little scarf with my leather spring jacket and a hat, a knitted hat. And I was totally warm. I was more than warm on my bike ride home because it was the warmest at that time. And yeah, so spring has come, and it's really lovely and really wonderful. And so I wanted to take out some of my springtime decorations, and I was very excited when don't you love that when you pack things away for each season? At least I do. I love to have seasonal decorations. I love to have springtime, summertime, fall time, and wintertime decorations. And I love that when you pack these decorations away and you kind of forget about them. And then you open up the packages with each new coming season, and you're excited. You think, oh yeah, I totally forgot that I have this. How fun that I get to put that out and look at it and think about those memories tied to those things. Which is why I love things from my grandma, things from my aunts and uncles, things from my mom, things from flea markets, things from antique shops, from people that I necessarily don't even know. I love, 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 and I cannot stress how much I love old and used things. So, and homemade things, of course. So this was made by my great-grandmother Ruby. This is just a corner of it, of the tablecloth. And there are obviously 4 corners, and in each corner there is one of these flower pots with the flowers. And it's all hand-stitched, and I think that it's so beautiful. It's funny because when my mom sent it to me, I called her immediately after I received it when it was a good time for her, because they're 7 hours behind us here in Germany. And she said that she didn't know for sure if I would like it. She didn't know what to do with it really. And I said, oh my God, Mom, you know that I love things like that. If you ever find anything like that that you don't know what to do with, send it to me, because I cherish all of those sorts of things and love them, and I want them. I can remember, I'm going to go off on a little rant here, but I can remember growing up and going into my grandmother's house, my grandmother Sue's house. And she has so many, her house is full of handmade things. Handmade things, things that have been given to her, gifts from travels, pictures, cross stitch. I guess these are all handmade things. Her walls are covered with cross stitches, just everything. Really neat antique pictures, embroidery hoops filled with things, and you could say that her house has kitschy things in it. You could say that it's quite full maybe, or knick-knacky, but everything in her house has a story to it. It really has a story to it. And everything is very special, and while it may be quite full and have a lot of things, there are so many stories, and there's so much history, and there's so much love in this house. And this is a house that I always went inside of when I was young, and I always felt comfortable, and I always felt cozy, and I always felt inspired and creative, and it was always a place that was very home-like to me. And it still is. And I want nothing more than to slowly collect things and have my walls covered in cross stitch and embroidery and pictures and notes and have shelves up with knickknacks and things, because I love stories and I love things. I don't know how to explain it even more. I like to look around and think about stories and think about people and feel this coziness. I don't like plain white walls and shelves with meaningless decorations from big store places. I think those sorts of decorations are fun and fine, and while I have some of them as well, I more value things that have been loved and used. And I really like this house that is creative and not afraid to have children's drawings on the walls and stuffed animals that children have made, and flowers everywhere, and homemade cross-stitch, homemade embroidery, hand-knit pillows, hand-embroidered pillows, quilts. This is a quilt that I've started to make the top of. I haven't quilted it, I've just done the patchwork, and I need to do the border and some more things on it, which I would love to finish this year. And yeah, so I'm really inspired by everything that my grandma does and everything that she is, and I'm just excited to receive things that are a part of her story and her ancestors' story, her mother's story, and have that be welcomed into my home and be shared with me and everyone who's coming into my house. And I'm happy to share it with you, because they're wonderful stories and wonderful people and wonderful things that I love. So it was wonderful to share little parts of my day, little things that I've been making, working on, thoughts that I've been having. I've really enjoyed speaking with you today. I hope that you've had a nice time as well. I hope that you have a wonderful weekend, and I hope that your weather is nice, whatever you think nice is. If you want cold weather, if you want warm weather, rainy or snow, I hope that you're able to enjoy some of that this weekend and the week ahead, and that you find time for knitting in your craft, because it is so important to who we are and to what we are, that we find time for that relaxation and that time for us. So have a lovely day and week ahead.